Helen Hester's Xenofeminism presents a bold vision for feminist politics in the 21st century. Xenofeminism, or XF, is best understood as a synthesis of different intellectual traditions, including cyberfeminism, post-humanism, accelerationism, neo-rationalism, and materialist feminism. Rather than seeking a pure or unhybridized political standing, xenofeminism operates as a politics without the infection of purity. This means it embraces complexity and rejects the idea that feminist politics must come from a single authentic source. At the center of Hester's book is a single theme: reproduction, both biological and social. How do we reproduce human life? How do you reproduce social structures? How do we reproduce gender roles? Xenofeminism argues that these questions are fundamental to understanding and transforming oppression. The future is treated as an open site of radical recomposition where new ways of living, loving, and organizing are possible. Xenofeminism is built on three foundational pillars. The first is techno-materialism. Xenofeminism rejects both techno-optimism and technophobia. It does not view technology as inherently patriarchal or inherently liberating. Instead, it insists on anchoring digital culture and information systems within their physical infrastructures. Fiber optic cables, server farms, and electronics assembly line workers are all part of the material reality of technology. Technology is not neutral, it is shaped by social relations and design histories. But the same technologies that can be weaponized by capital and patriarchy also offer opportunities for feminist intervention. Just as domestic automation technologies can reinforce traditional gender roles, they can also be repurposed to reduce women's unpaid labor. The second pillar is anti-naturalism. Xenofeminism frames nature not as a sacred, untouchable limit, but as a space of political contestation. The famous maxim of the Laborio Cubonics collective captures this perfectly. If nature is unjust, change nature. This directly challenges eco-feminist approaches that sometimes romanticize natural biological processes like unmediated pregnancy and childbirth. Romanticizing natural biological pain, risk, and vulnerability amounts to a love letter to disempowerment. It ignores the very real desire for bodily autonomy valued by those who experience pregnancy and reproductive labor. Anti-naturalism asserts that biology is not destiny because biology itself can be technologically transformed in the pursuit of reproductive justice. The third pillar is gender abolitionism. Xenofeminism seeks the eradication of oppressive binary gender distinctions. But this is not a call for gender austerity or the flattening of difference. Rather, xenofeminism pursues abolition through proliferation. Let 100 sexes bloom. The goal is to strip away the social ramifications, hierarchical constraints, and oppressive scripts tied to the heterosexual matrix. This is a trans-feminist project that maximizes trans rights and bodily autonomy by dismantling the binary framework that funnels human bodies into rigid social boxes. Hester examines how contemporary environmental and political discourses mobilize reproduction. She critiques the ubiquitous deployment of the child as the privileged icon of a sustainable nature. This productive futurism often weaponizes the future to punish queer, non-normative, and non-reproducing subjects. It suggests that only those who reproduce are invested in the future, marginalizing everyone else. Hester also critiques Malthusian and anti-natalist tendencies within certain ecological movements. While reducing birth rates is often framed as a solution to ecological catastrophe, it frequently resurrects racist eugenicist histories of population management and biopolitical border control. Xenofeminism proposes an alternative, a multinational politics grounded in xeno-hospitality. This involves reorienting kinship around non-genetic as well as genetic bonds. It means engineering economic and social infrastructures that liberate reproductive labor from the grinding demands of wage labor and capitalist social reproduction. How do these grand theoretical propositions manifest on the ground? Hester explores xenofeminist technologies by turning to the feminist self-help movement of the 1970s. She examines tools like the speculum and the menstrual extraction device, which were popularized by grassroots women's health collectives. These tools allowed men to understand and control their own bodies outside of medical authority. Hester does not romanticize this movement uncritically. She confronts its historical blind spots, notably its pervasive whiteness and cissexism. She brings the white-dominated health movement into direct dialogue with the insights of black feminists and intersectional reproductive justice advocates like Angela Davis. These voices reminded us that marginalized women's resort to abortion spoke not merely of a desire to avoid pregnancy, but of the miserable social conditions imposed by systemic racism and class exploitation. This analysis operates at meso-political scale. This is the space situated between hyper-local micro-political embodiment and macro-political systemic overthrow. The mesopolitical captures the lived, situational, and perpetually negotiated everyday labor of social reproduction and grassroots technological appropriation. It is where theory meets practice in concrete everyday struggles. Hester extends these insights into the 21st century by examining contemporary biohacking and trans health activism. Biohacking involves individuals taking control of their own biology through various techniques, from DIY biology to hormone therapy. Trans health activism has been at the forefront of demanding bodily autonomy and self-determination. Xenofeminism consciously rejects the politically tone deaf and libertarian tropes of mainstream transhumanism. Mainstream transhumanism often imagines bodily enhancement purely as a commodity for the privileged. Xenofeminism insists instead a materialist, self-directed bodily transformation linked to social justice. It is not about escaping the body, but about transforming the conditions under which bodies are lived. Xenofeminism offers us a diagnostic and constructive toolkit. It challenges us to refuse naturalized suffering. It calls us to critically appropriate technoscience rather than either rejecting it or embracing it uncritically. It demands that we engineer a post-capitalist future where bodies, genders, and kinship structures are radically liberated through collective political struggle. The vision is not a blueprint but an orientation. Xenofeminism insists that the future is open and that we have the power to shape it. It refuses fatalism and resignation. It embraces the possibilities offered by technology while remaining critical of the social relations that currently shape technological development. Above all, it insists that the struggle for bodily autonomy and reproductive justice is inseparable from the struggle against capitalism, racism, and all forms of oppression. By refusing the infection of purity and embracing hybridity, Xenofeminism opens new horizons for feminist politics in the 21st century.